Are you ready?
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 Are you ready to forget your family and your job? World Cup, oh, oh. Football round the clock. Football round the clock. Football round the clock. World Cup, oh, oh. Football round the clock. Oh, oh, oh.
Hello and welcome to Monday Football Mania by Football Around the Clock podcast. Today, as you see, we're obviously going to talk about the final of finals in Kiev Champions League final, Real Madrid versus Liverpool. Today, Ray and David join me to talk about it. Charles is having some technical difficulties, so he'll join us when he can. First, let's just talk about it. Let's open up and give it first impressions on the game, and then if we feel like we need to get in the highlights, we'll do some highlights. But let's talk about it first. David, what was your first impressions after seeing the highlights?
I was able to watch the whole game actually, so it was really cool. Of course, if since I knew the results of the game. It was nice, and I wasn't as tense as I would have been. Liverpool came out of the gate strong, didn't they? They really brought the attack to Madrid, and everyone knew this. This is what we talked about for the past couple of weeks, that Liverpool was going to try getting in some goals in the first half, and they came out strong and very attacking. And not to summarize it too much, but the fact that Real Madrid got to the end of the first half, 0-0, I think that was exactly what they needed, and that's kind of what allowed them to put the game away. But it was a much different game than we expected, wasn't it? It was much more tense, much more. Both teams knew what the other teams were capable of, and they didn't want to let that happen. And a very, very interesting tactical battle for sure.
All right, Ray, what's your impressions on the game?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty exciting match. I think some of the things that happened in the game, whether it's the Salah injury or the gaffes by Karius, were a bit unfortunate. But I think overall it was a pretty exciting match. Again, like David said, 0-0 at halftime, and then after Real Madrid got their first goal, Liverpool was able to answer. And then one of the big things in the match was the ability of Real Madrid and Zidane to turn to his bench with lots of options compared to Klopp, which, the depth on Liverpool and Real Madrid obviously was very different and played a big role in the outcome of the match. So.
Awesome, thanks, Ray. Yeah, you can definitely see the depth of Liverpool having an effect. Let's talk about that first goal, the Benzema goal. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Karius was thinking? Like, what do you guys think it was going on with him?
So I was just impressed actually with Benzema. Karius was doing what tons of goalkeepers do. He was clearly too naive about it, but a lot of goalkeepers just try starting it really quickly, and they think that they can change the outcome of the game and give Liverpool a good chance. Like Karius was thinking, if I just get the ball off real quick and get Liverpool starting an attack again, because that's what they're trained to do. In a system like Klopp's, then I can do it. And so usually what more advanced goalkeepers do is they kind of fake that throw. They get ready to throw it, and they kind of see what the striker's doing. And then if the striker is there, then they'll change their tactics up. But Karius just kind of went with his first instinct and threw it. And he also clearly thought that Benzema had fouled him or was offsides or something, but after the goal occurred, but he can't get the foul called for the throw. It's only if he's kicking it.
Mm-hmm.
So the announcers talked about that. So my impression of Karius was that he was just too young and naive, and we'll come upon that again later. But if a more experienced goalkeeper would have kind of saw Benzema out of the corner of his eye and kind of like faked it to see if Benzema was on top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was all of Liverpool's game plan. Like David was saying, was to keep pressure on Madrid to get things out quick, to go at them, and so that was the entire mindset of the whole Liverpool team. And I don't know, in that moment, the direction he's throwing it to is where Benzema was. He would have seen him easily out of his peripherals. He probably could have touched him from the position he was at. So I don't know what he was thinking, turning that way and immediately throwing it out. Just terrible air. And a terrible goal to give away, especially in a game of that magnitude.
I would like to give Benzema the credit that he deserves, though, because that whole game he was on top of things. And previously he'd been critiqued by many people for not scoring as much as he should have. But he got a goal where he actually was onside. Ronaldo was the one offside. Just I think that was in the first half. He reacted quickly and got to the goal. And, of course, it was called offsides, as it should have been because Ronaldo was off. But and then, again, he reacted exactly like he should have. And that's what a true goal scorer does. They might not always have the opportunities to score goals in normal scenarios, but given any chance, they'll take it. And he was right in the exact place at the right time.
Yeah, no, Benzema has definitely risen his value and to the Real Madrid club, and his potential to grow more as a striker. Let's move on to the Liverpool goal. It's just coming almost right after the Benzema goal. Sort of gave Liverpool momentum. Was what I think. I don't know. What do you think, Ray? Do you think that it kind of sort of kicked off Liverpool's game a little bit after losing Salah?
Well, it got him back in the game. It tied it up for him. It was a great response, like you said. It came minutes after Karius's error and Benzema's goal. And so, it made things even again. So I think it made Liverpool hopeful, even though they were without Salah at that point, that, it's a 1-1 game with still a half hour left to play. So they were right in the thick of it after that.
I'd like to comment on the speed of the game as well. So I think that you're right that after the Mane goal, there was an increase in fervor by Liverpool, that they really started pressuring. And so if we go back to the style of the game again, at the beginning of the game, Liverpool really came at Real Madrid. And then Real Madrid passed from the back and they calmed it down, slowed it down so much that they only got 1 or 2 chances in the whole first half. And then, but Liverpool had practically no chances. And then after the Mane goal, the Liverpool once again just ramped it up like crazy, and they were attacking and they were pressuring. And I feel like once again Real Madrid just slowly slowed things down and created their own pace of the game. And I think that's where the real strength came in. That this Real Madrid felt the calmness and they had the experience to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, absolutely. That goal was a game changer for Liverpool. They really all of a sudden went from feeling that they had no chance to, hey, we can actually score and maybe it can happen again.
Yeah, that's also the feeling I got, that Liverpool took that as motivation. And well, at the time we thought that was, Karius was like, okay, my mistake has been made up. I can come back in this game. We can have a chance.
Did you see his face when that happened? Yeah, he was like, "Okay, we got this. Thank you." I'm thankful.
Yep, he's very thankful for Mane at that moment. And then this happened.
Space and room for Ronaldo to try and maneuver an opening. Marcelo, he's got 3 to pick out. It's the spectacular.
Just nuts.
It's Gareth Bale.
Just can't believe. Oh man. Just seeing that goal, you can just watch it all over again. Just
In the Champions League this season.
nobody could believe that Bale could pull that off,
Gareth Bale.
especially in the final. David, what are your thoughts on that goal, man?
Oh, so first of all, Bale had just come on just a couple minutes before, and that second half was just going along so quickly. The intensity was there. Who knew what was happening? And so the ball gets crossed to Marcelo, and Marcelo shifts it onto his left foot. There's 2 defenders there, so he shifts it back to his right foot, and he crosses it, and it's one of the worst crosses I've ever seen. And you see Bale, who's close to the penalty spot, jump back, straight back, like 3 yards, and he just gets his foot on it, latches onto it, corner, goal, unstoppable. It was incredible. It blew my mind. I haven't seen anyone do anything like that in a long time. I've seen bicycle kicks, but not bicycle kicks from so far away, where he still managed to get over the ball, and in such a big moment too. You were telling me before the podcast that this happened in the exact same minute as Ronaldo's bicycle kick against Juventus the previous year. Yeah. First of all, there's a little symmetry there that we can go into later, but incredible. And Bale was just so confident. He hadn't even really touched the ball. He made some like little dinky passes beforehand, and then go straight from that to kicking in this bicycle kick, which was otherworldly. Just impressive. What a feel for the moment. What confidence. Incredible athleticism. Incredible.
Any commentary?
Yeah, just an absolute brilliant goal in that circumstance with the game where it was, tied 1-1. Bale had just come on, not moments before that. I don't know if it was his first touch, but he had just barely been on. And so at the difficulty level, the situation in the match, just all put together, just absolutely unbelievable. I would say, if we're looking, at past ones, you have Zidane's in 2002 against Leverkusen to win it, or Ronaldo's against Juventus in the quarterfinals this year, and then this one. People like to rate, which one's better or whatever. I think Ronaldo's was prettier. I guess you could say, but the difficulty level and the situation, I think overall, Bale's was the absolute, best kick you're going to see in a match like that.
Yeah, but what do you think, David? Do you think Ronaldo's kick was better or Bale's?
I agree with Ray on this one, actually. I think that the difficulty level is just insane on Bale's. He shouldn't have even gotten close to it. He jumped, I think, 3 yards in the air and just got there and got top spin on it to such a degree that it stayed below the bar, and it got there so fast that Karius didn't have a chance. So there's so many levels of difficulty. Like there's things that people can do in training that are cool, but doing it in the Champions League final after just coming on, incredible.
Crazy. Definitely a goal you can watch over and over and over and over again. Never get bored of it. Never ever. All right, let's switch to the final goal in this Champions League match, where Bill had the ball and took it. What do you guys think? 40 yards out, something like that, and just smashed it. And it looked like Karius was going to grab it. Like he had his hands out, he was jumping like every keeper did, and then he swiped at it, and then it went left into the goal. first, Ray, your thoughts on Karius and like what he was maybe thinking there or trying to do there?
I mean, I can only go off what, former goalkeepers and experts have said about that. For a professional goalie, that's an easy save. You just had to, you have to decide in the moment, are you going to punch it? Are you going to catch it? What are you going to do? It was a screamer by Bale, no doubt, and there was some movement on it, but a professional goalkeeper on that level in that type of match, it's a gimme. So no excuse for a goal like that happening.
Thoughts, David?
Yeah. So I agree with Ray. On the other hand, if I was in the goal and that ball had come at me, I would have done the exact same thing he did. But there's a big difference between me being in the goal and a professional keeper being in the goal. So because there was enough movement and it was so fast that it looked like it was going one way. And then as it shifted back, that you could see Karius reacting in time to that shift, and he just can't get his hands there in time. So, but like a professional keeper should have been able to, like Ray said, make that decision that, hey, maybe it's coming a little fast for me to catch, so maybe I should punch it. And then they should have read the flight of that ball. And I'd actually like to do a quick comparison of Karius and Navas. So in the first half, I think it was Alexander-Arnold. He got the shot off that. First someone took a shot and it bounced off. Maybe Firmino took a shot off Ramos. I can't remember who. But then Alexander-Arnold gets it on the right and just blasts a shot through the legs of, I think it was Ramos's legs, and it just goes straight like a B at the Real Madrid the goal, and no one should have got it, but Navas somehow just reads the flight when he shouldn't have even been able to see it, and he just, I don't know if he grabs it or I think he grabs it even, but just an incredible save. And I just want to show the contrast between having a goalie that is at the peak of his game and confident and making smart decisions and making saves like that, which should have gone in, and then having someone like Karius who let in something that should have been a save. It's a 180 change. It should have been at that point like 2-2. The game should have ended 2-2 if you take in all accepted things. Like, don't ignore Karius's earlier blunder. So yeah, that's imagine 2-2 going into extra time. Liverpool might have had a chance.
That would have been nuts. Yep.
Well, just going off of that, I mean, I would argue it should have been 1-1 if you take away Karius's early. But as you said, earlier blunder, because I think those two goals obviously cost them from going into extra time. But yeah, just like you said, David, I think if you were to summarize this match up, it was the goalkeepers made all the difference. You had I think there was two legit goals, Mane's off the corner and then Bale's bicycle, and then the Liverpool Karius gave up two others. So definitely the difference in the match for me.
Do you guys think that Real Madrid had like a curse, or like, I don't know, not a curse. I guess you call it curse if you're like, the opposing team. But if you're for Real Madrid, like I don't know, sort of luck to it, because the same thing happened with the Bayern Munich semifinal game. So I don't know, we guys speculate on that or not?
You go first, Ray, because I of course have very strong opinions on this.
Yeah, well, I think that, in a tournament like this, to go along the way to win it all, there's always some amount of luck that happens with every champion, whether it's with your own side or with the side you're facing, the opposing side. So, I mean, particularly this year, I mean, I guess a champion's a champion, but you could look at, certain situations like Neymar getting injured in the round of 16 against Real Madrid. I don't think that would have made a difference. I think they would have gone through anyway. The Juventus in the quarterfinals, Juventus scoring 3 on the road to tied on aggregate, and then Real Madrid getting a penalty at the very end, which was a penalty, but just because of the situation, pretty fortunate that it happened at that moment in the game. And the Bayern Munich tie, Ulreich's blunder, a pass back, he was going to grab it with his hands and recognized he couldn't do that, and then goes past him. Benzema taps it in, and then this game with Karius's blunder. So, but I think you could go and look, if you were to dissect every champion in their whole tournament run in the European Cup or Champions League, that in every match or every tie that there was some amount of luck or fortune, whatever you want to call it, awarded to them, whether on their own side or benefiting from the errors of another team. So it's not, at things like this, when you have the teams are so good and the talent is so much on the field, it's the team that makes the least amount of mistakes and capitalizes on the other team's mistakes always comes out as the victor. And so that's what, Real Madrid have done, and deservingly so.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm really glad that you pulled up the whole history of what Real Madrid had to do to get to this point and pointed out the different pieces of fortune that favored them, because a lot of people point to that and say, do Real Madrid really deserve this victory? Do they deserve to be there? First of all, we talked about that. Do they even deserve to be there? And secondly, now that they got there, do they deserve that victory? And then I also really like the point that you brought about making mistakes. And this is part and parcel of what we were mentioning earlier when we said that Real Madrid had the greater experience. They knew that they couldn't allow a certain amount of mistakes. And on the other hand, Liverpool thought that if they just pressed high enough and played hard enough, that they would win. And so Liverpool tried that, and there was some unfortunate level that they didn't have Salah, who would have been an incredible game changer. But their tactic of playing hard kind of fed into some of the mistakes. I think it fed into Karius's mindset in the first blunder, and I think it fed into the fact that they really got a little worked up and a little angry as the game went on. While Madrid, everything they did was with casual confidence, and even when they were forced, like I remember a couple times Marcelo was forced to foul, it was with casual confidence. And then when these things happened to Liverpool, they felt that it was fate against them. So I think that the confidence of Real Madrid and their experience kind of led to some of that luck. Clearly, if I was on Liverpool's side, my main thing wouldn't be that there was a curse against them, but that maybe they should have, first of all, they need a replacement for Salah. They need not a replacement for Salah, but they need someone else who can be a game changer off the bench, so that when Salah goes, they can replace him with someone that actually has a chance to do it. Sorry, Lallana, but you didn't really do much. And secondly, maybe you need to have like a different, more experience in keeper. And the only way you can do that is through either buying that experience or going through the Champions League like they did this year and gaining that experience. So there you go. This year is actually a success. Maybe look at it like that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Look at the positive things. I saw a tweet today by Karius apologizing to the whole Liverpool players, staff, and fans, and saying that he can't stop thinking about all the mistakes he made and everything. And so it really sticks, especially with keepers, it really sticks in your mind when you make really big mistakes like that on a really big platform and arena.
Real quick, every other player can, if they make a bad pass, they can just continue to pass to get out of it. But if a keeper makes a mistake, he can only just hope that he saves the next one. He can't.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add just real quick, I think Liverpool reaching this point had a certain amount of luck also. I mean, with their, this is Salah's first year. Nobody expected him to, be in this kind of form. Their draw for the group they were in the Champions League, and then the draw that they got for the certain ties, like drawing Roma in the semis instead of Bayern or Real Madrid. And then I can't remember who they had in the quarters or in the round of 16. But, there's fortune that went on their side also to get to this point.
There were a couple goals that were disallowed against them that shouldn't have been disallowed.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Yeah, no, I agree with your earlier point that there's, if you go back into the annals of history, there's always going to be champions that, like, as time goes on, you forget how much luck got them there.
Mm-hmm.
And Real Madrid, the difference that I would put, though, is that Real Madrid winning so much in such a short period of time has just this many statistical marks for them now saying, sorry, but it wasn't a one, what do you call it in music?
One-year wonder.
A one-year wonder, yeah. One-hit wonder. No, these guys have
a 3-year wonder.
No, it's
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely there's this charisma to the Champions League for teams that have this certain amount of luck. Me being a Chelsea fan, definitely feel that in 2011 where we went to Bayern Munich in Munich and won at their home turf. So I definitely get what you guys are saying with that. Let's move to the post interviews of Bale and Ronaldo. Let's talk about those a little bit. Let's talk about Bale first. Bale said he's obviously talking to his agent, negotiating either transfers or newer terms with Real Madrid. But there's definitely 100% some speculation there of Bale's future at Real Madrid. What do you think, David?
First of all, I don't like him doing a Ronaldo. So Ronaldo does this kind of like the game ends and it's about him all of a sudden. So I'm a little disappointed in Bale for doing that. But at the same time, I understand that while you're most prominent, you need to take advantage of that. So he just scored the 2 goals that changed the game and
won the game.
That won the game for Real Madrid. And he felt like he needed to make a point. He said, look how valuable I was in this game. Are you going to pay me or are you going to play me or do I have to go somewhere else? Because he has suitors. And we talked about this previously, that maybe Real Madrid was putting him on the showcase. They're saying, hey, look at this guy. And I suggested that he was going to play in the final. And he did. And he made a giant impact. And so I think that Real Madrid needs to do something to keep him. Even if maybe he's not the most obvious fit there, I think that he just adds so much. So in the end, I kind of have to say, well done, Bale. You made your point, and as Real Madrid fans, I think every Real Madrid fan is going to say, yes, we need to keep you. So, because otherwise, how scary would he be if, like, in a shirt of another team coming at Real Madrid next year? Because how that happens. That always ends up with them scoring. So, yeah, I think it would be silly of Real Madrid to sell him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen Bale's importance to the previous teams that have won the Champions League the last 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure for whatever reason the relationship between him and Zidane, why he wasn't playing as much. I know he's had injury issues, but even when he wasn't, or even when he was fit or is fit, he wasn't being selected. And so I think he just simply said after the game, I need to play. And so I think he's putting the pressure on Madrid, obviously, saying that either I want to be a starter, I want to play like how I used to be, or I'm going to go somewhere else where I can be a starter. And I mean, that's every footballer. I mean, you want to, especially a player that caliber, you want to start, you want to play. And so, I think he's playing his cards through the media to see what happens this offseason.
Interesting points there. There's a rumor that already came out that Man U is trying to pick him up, and that there's $200 million. I don't know if it's a release clause or a price for Bale. But Manu is definitely the top choice or the top competitor in that run. Let's switch over to Ronaldo's interview. David, what do you think of Ronaldo's post-match interview?
So first of all, he once again pulled Ronaldo, and he made everything about him. That's to be expected. I don't know if you heard, though, that Ramos really chewed him out afterwards.
Huh.
Ramos said, "No, this is Madrid's moment. This isn't your moment. Calm down." So Ronaldo then apologized and said, "Hey, I'll talk about things next week when when I'm in the Portugal camp and it's not Madrid's turn." He's right. And I was really surprised by Ronaldo because he said, Ramos is right. He didn't say it outright, but he said, this is Madrid's time. So to get down to it, I think that Ronaldo's trying to do a similar thing. And I'm wondering if maybe there's some bad blood between Ronaldo and Bale right now. I couldn't tell you.
So.
Yeah, it seems like it, though, especially when Bale didn't pass to him. And at the one of the last plays. So I think that maybe it's a kind of like, hey, I'm 33, but you know what I can bring to you, and you know how much I mean to Madrid, and all the fans, you're on my side, right? And so I feel like that's what was happening there. So I wasn't really a fan of it because I don't want to see a power play. This is an incredible team, and if it breaks up now, then what are they doing? It's a bad decision, but I also understand why it's occurring. So I just hope that it doesn't destroy the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't see him going anywhere, but then again, I think it's a similar thing with what Bale did, putting pressure on Madrid. I don't know how his contract is or money-wise is based on his performance if he wants more. But and like David said, making it about himself. But with age, he can only go downhill from here, and so he's 33. But I mean, he scored. He might be slowing down as far as pace or something, but he scored 44 goals in 44 competitions. So, I mean,
it's pretty nuts.
Pretty big chunk of your goal scoring there, and so, I don't know. We'll have to see if they choose between one or the other, or if they keep both. Or there's no way I see both of them going at the same time. I think one can go, one will stay, or both will stay. Only time will tell.
And the most important thing that I always hear is because every time Ronaldo is about to leave or someone's like, well, maybe Messi will leave, you're like, okay, but who will you replace them with? Because whoever you replace them with will not be Ronaldo. Mm-mm. It won't be Messi. It's not that you can't find good players. They're just not Ronaldo. Exactly. If you're going to replace them with a not Ronaldo, that's a downgrade. I'm sorry.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. But it's all up to Ronaldo, really, of what he wants to do. So, yeah, like Ray said, only time will tell. We'll find out what happens. But I agree with Ray. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I can honestly see him retiring from Real Madrid. But I was talking earlier with Charles about this. I can also see him pulling off a David Beckham of Ronaldo maybe coming to LA Galaxy or somewhere in the US for playing with them for, when he's, retired from European football, when he's 40 or whatever, playing them for 3 years and then investing in that team or another team like Beckham did. I can see him and Messi doing that as well. Always when the price is right. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. So congrats to Real Madrid for winning 3 Champions League titles in a row. I'm pretty sure it's the first team to ever do that.
Well, in the Champions League era.
Yes, in the Champions League era. Also, for winning the Champions League and not being the champions of La Liga I think that's also a unique position to be in with their form in the league, and then to come to Champions League and just totally dominate. That shows, one, their priorities, and two, their willingness to compete in this competition. So final thoughts from everybody. Final thoughts from you, David?
Yeah. So 2 final thoughts. One, just rolling off what you said, Barcelona won La Liga, but they're going to be incredibly disappointed because Real Madrid won the Champions League, and they created, or they did an unhistoric 3 Champions Leagues in a row, like Ray said, the first time in the Champions League era, and 4 out of 5 years they've won the Champions League. That makes, so if you look at the 2000s, I think 8 or 9 out of the champions have been Spanish teams. In the past 5 years, 2 of the so Real Madrid played twice against Atletico Madrid in the final. Spanish teams have basically just dominated, especially in the past 8 years. They've dominated the Champions League, and Real Madrid doing what they're doing is just incredible. So hats off to La Liga. Second thought, I really think that despite what happened to Salah, so you have to move past that and say sorry, but I think that Real Madrid just dominated the game. I know a lot of people say the first half that they didn't play as well as they should have, and they're right, but I think it was part of the game plan. And then once they came into the game, just if you look at the touches, Real Madrid's touches were always impeccable. They passed out from the back with incredible ease. They were first to the ball every single time. And Real Madrid has this capability of any time they win a header, they always turn it into control. Not many other teams do that. Like when they get control, like when they supposedly get control of the ball, it just kind of bounces around for a while. But Real Madrid is first touch is header, second touch is control. And so I think that they controlled that game from start to finish just like they wanted. I don't think it was a fluke. So I think there was definitely luck on their side, but I think that it was manufactured luck a lot of the time. And so I would like to just say as a final, congratulations to Madrid. You did something incredible that might never be repeated. And you have to understand that this is probably one of the greatest teams of all time. I don't know if you could argue that there's any other team greater. I know that there were doubts about this year, but like you said, finishing first is just, and finishing in the Champions League, finishing as champions is just an incredible thing. So congratulations. Sorry, Liverpool, but congratulations to Real Madrid.
Yeah, congratulations to Madrid. I guess I would argue. I don't know. It was a great final. I think there was some misfortune. If Salah played the whole game, how tactically that would have changed. Attacking on Marcelo's side, if Marcelo wouldn't have been able to get up as much, or if he still would have, but that would have exposed Real Madrid's defense because Salah was still in the game, and how that would have impacted. Obviously, Karius's goal gaffes impacted the match. But yeah, congrats to Madrid. Their composure and experience in goalkeeping won them 3 Champions Leagues in a row, 4 out of 5. Going back to the debate, best team ever, they're definitely in a conversation. I think it's difficult to compare eras when you have teams Ajax or Bayern Munich or Real Madrid in the 50s that won 5 in a row. Eras that were more, play was more physical, completely different. So I think it's hard to judge or, without a doubt say which one's best. But an exciting final. Congrats to Madrid and Liverpool. They have nowhere but up to go from this. This wasn't expected for them. So too bad for them. But they got a lot of promise. That's it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Coming up next, we will be talking about the World Cup coming up in 2 weeks. We'll be reviewing the groups, some major teams, players, news, injuries, team rosters, everything to do with the World Cup. I'll be coming to you next week. Also, stay tuned for podcasts from me and Raymond about various subjects. I know Ray's going to do some podcasts on the World Cup also, so watch out for those. So thank you for joining us. This is Football Around the Clock, and see you next time.
A la Madrid.
Are you ready?
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 Are you ready to forget your family and your job? World Cup, oh, oh. Football round the clock. Football round the clock. Football round the clock. World Cup, oh, oh. Football round the clock. Oh, oh.